Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're the show that, takes a pile of sources, finds the key takeaways, and gives you that shortcut to being in the know. Today, we are really plunging into, a book that's truly shaped things for millions of creatives. It's Julia Cameron's 1992 classic, The Artist's Way, a spiritual path to higher creativity. So our mission for this deep dive, let's unpack the core ideas and the honestly pretty surprising journey of this book. We're pulling our info from a detailed Wikipedia excerpt. So it gives us a concise, factual, but really fascinating look at the history and the impact. Expect this unique mix of spirituality and very practical exercises, and a truly remarkable origin story. I mean, how a book that was initially dismissed became this global thing. We're going to dig into not just what the book is, but why it hit such a nerve with so many people and what it still offers creatives, today. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's see how it became such a landmark.
Right. So, to start, The Artist's Way. Its fundamental purpose is it's a self-help book, but it's specifically for what Cameron calls artistic creative recovery. Think of it like maybe a rehab program for your inner artist.
Rehab for the inner artist. I like that.
Yeah. It's for anyone who feels like that creative spark has maybe dimmed or, gone into hiding, maybe because of criticism or self-doubt or just life getting in the way. The book teaches the systematic approach,
right?
Techniques and exercises designed to genuinely help people get back their self-confidence and learn how to harness their own creative talents and skills. It's very practical, very hands-on, a journey back to yourself creatively.
That idea of recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely resonates. I think a lot of people feel that. The thing that really makes it stand out, and it's right there in the title, is a spiritual path to higher creativity. That feels like a pretty bold claim for a self-help book, especially back then. So if someone's coming at this from, say, a more secular viewpoint, how does Cameron suggest they approach that spiritual side? Is it like a requirement, or can you still get the benefit?
That's a really good question, and it gets right to the core of what makes this book so different. Julia Cameron's main point, her assertion, is that there's this deep link between artistic creativity and a spiritual connection. She often talks about it as a connection with God.
Right.
But she's not really saying you have to be traditionally religious. It's more that our creative impulse itself comes from somewhere bigger than just our own ego. And what's fascinating here is just how new that spiritual angle really felt when the book first came out. Most self-help stuff then was all technique or discipline or maybe overcoming psychological blocks.
Yeah, very practical, less ethereal.
Exactly. Cameron brought in this idea that creativity isn't just a skill you learn. It's more like a form of divine cooperation. And that wasn't just a unique selling point. It really tapped into this widespread desire for meaning, for purpose, maybe beyond just commercial success. It validated creative urges as something, divinely inspired, which was kind of a radical idea against that whole starving artist narrative.
It is a powerful way to reframe it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Our source materials actually gives us a direct quote from her that really nails this. She says, God is an artist, so are we, and we can cooperate with each other. And she goes on to say, our creative dreams and longings do come from a divine source, not from the human ego. For me, that just flips the whole script on how maybe we think about artistic ambition. It suggests that maybe those blocks we feel, they aren't just personal failures, but maybe a disconnect from that deeper source.
Precisely. So for you, the listener, if you've ever felt that creative block, that dryness, or even just a real fear about pursuing something creative, this book offers a completely different way to look at it. It suggests the answer might not just be willpower or changing your routine.
Right, not just try harder.
Exactly. Yep. It encourages looking inward, or maybe like Cameron suggests, looking upwards for that deeper source of inspiration. Instead of just relying on, external validation or our own often unreliable egos, it basically says creative expression is our natural state. Blocks are just resistance to that flow.
Yeah, these ideas are definitely profound. But I think the real story for millions is how they jumped off the page, how they became this huge movement. It wasn't just a book you read, right? How did these deep but also practical ideas turn into something that connected with so many people, building this global community?
No, definitely not just a book. And that's really the brilliance of how it's put together. The concepts in the book are structured as this practical, step-by-step 12-week creativity course.
The 12 weeks, yes.
Right. It's not just reading. It's an immersive program. You're meant to actively engage with it. And often people do it in groups. The program itself really focuses on building supportive relationships, create this environment where people can work together to, spot and remove those artistic blocks, and then build confidence collectively. It's a journey meant to be taken with intention and maybe some accountability.
And the book gives you the actual tools for that journey. I know many people link the artist's way with two very specific, powerful practices, like daily or weekly rituals. Can you tell us about those?
Absolutely. Those are the cornerstones, really. They anchor the whole 12-week course. They're the morning pages and the artist dates.
Yeah.
Morning pages that involves writing 3 pages. Longhand, stream of consciousness, every single morning. The only rule is just write whatever pops into your head. No editing, no judging yourself. Don't even read it back right away.
Just get it out.
Exactly. The idea is to clear out all that mental clutter, the anxieties, the self-criticism, basically declutter your mind so there's space for creativity. It's like a form of active meditation. Lots of people find it incredibly freeing.
And the second one, the artist date.
Right. The artist date, this is a weekly thing, a solo excursion just for you dedicated to nurturing your inner artist. It could be anything, really.
Yeah.
Visiting a museum, exploring a new part of town, watching a weird foreign film, taking a walk in nature, or just spending an hour doing something with, like, a childlike sense of wonder. The key is you do it alone. It's about refilling your own creative well, reconnecting with curiosity. These two practices, morning pages and artist dates, when done consistently, they are incredibly powerful for sparking creativity and keeping it going.
The impact of that structure, especially with the community aspect you mentioned, it was just huge. Our source material points out it didn't just sell books. It genuinely sparked a phenomenon. Countless meetups, support groups all over the world,
Yeah.
all based on that same 12-week course structure. It really shows people weren't just, passively reading. They were living it.
Yeah.
Building communities around it. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Maybe so much of our creative struggle comes from feeling isolated, and how powerful it is when that's turned into a shared journey with that built-in support.
Well, if you connect that to the bigger picture, the book didn't just offer advice or some exercises. It gave the solid framework for communal, sustained creative growth. And that's a huge differentiator for any self-help guide, especially in the creative space. It took what could have been a very lonely struggle, artistic recovery, and made it a shared journey. It created the supportive ecosystem for creators.
Right.
That social piece is absolutely key to its lasting power. And it really paved the way for a lot of other structured personal development programs that came later. It showed the power of consistent, mindful practice plus peer support.
So understanding that core philosophy and its huge impact, the book's own path to getting published is almost a story in itself, isn't it? Like full of the same creative hurdles that helped people overcome. It didn't just land on bestseller lists fully formed. This book had its own interesting backstory.
Oh, absolutely right. And it's really a testament to Julia Cameron's own perseverance, actually. The book's history is pretty compelling. It started very grassroots. The artist's way actually began as just a collection of tips and hints. Stuff Cameron had gathered from other artists and writers. She initially compiled them and self-published them, just specifically to help artists maximize their creativity and productivity. Very hands-on, almost like a DIY zine, shared directly with the people she wanted to help.
And get this, the original title was Healing the Artist Within. And even more amazing, it was turned down initially by the William Morris Literary Agency, a big one.
Yeah.
I mean, the irony there is pretty thick, right? A book about overcoming creative blocks hits a massive block on its own path.
Exactly.
It really highlights that common struggle for creators, that initial rejection, even for something that ends up being huge. It's almost the perfect example of the resilience the book talks about.
It really is. But Cameron's determination was, well, incredible. A living example of her own principles. She didn't just give up after that rejection. Nope. She took matters into her own hands. Literally typed the book herself. Made Xerox copies.
Wow. Xerox copies.
Yeah, and started selling them in a local bookstore in LA. Can you imagine? A book that would go on to sell millions, starting as photocopies sold out of one small shop. It just shows incredible perseverance, a deep belief in her message. It was true indie publishing before that was really even a common term, driven just by the feeling that this work had to get out there for artists.
So after it started selling, just through those grassroots efforts, word of mouth, things started to change. The organic buzz, the real impact it was having, you couldn't deny it.
Yeah.
Eventually, the title changed to The Artist's Way, and it got picked up and properly published by Jeremy Tarcher, now part of Penguin Group, back in 1992. It went from this self-made thing to a mainstream publication. Just proves that sometimes, if the message is strong enough, the market finds you.
And the scale of its success, especially given those humble beginnings, is just astonishing. The first official printing was pretty modest, about 9,000 copies, standard for a new nonfiction book.
Right.
But from there, it just took off, exploded, reached the top 10 bestseller list, got named one of the top 100 best self-help books of all time, and eventually, after selling millions worldwide, it was inducted into the Self-Publishing Hall of Fame. Which brings up a really important question, doesn't it? About how we measure success in the creative world. Is it that initial nod from the gatekeepers? Or is it the organic connection with an audience that really needs what you have to say? Just a powerful testament, I think, to the idea that authenticity and impact can sometimes totally outweigh that initial institutional yes, and that creative work can find really unexpected, unconventional routes to massive recognition and influence.
A truly inspiring journey. And yeah, a perfect place to wrap up.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the artist's way. We've covered its unique mix of artistic recovery and that spiritual connection. We uncovered the global impact of the 12-week course, those powerful tools like morning pages and artist dates, and we traced its incredible path from Xerox copies to multi-million seller, a landmark book. Its story that kind of mirrors the very awakening it tries to spark, actually.
And maybe as you reflect on all this, here's a thought to leave you with. The artist's way suggests that maybe, just maybe, our deepest creative urges aren't just products of our ego or ambition, but maybe they're echoes of something more profound, even divine. What if embracing that perspective, that your creativity is this gift meant to be nurtured and shared, what if that could unlock a source of inspiration and joy you didn't even know was there? That's a truly profound thought to ponder. We definitely encourage you to think about what personal artistic blocks you might look at differently now. Maybe it's time to grab a pen for some morning pages, or take yourself on that artist date. See what happens. Until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep diving deep.